So finally Kia is out with their fourth product and looks like they have another winner on their hands. Yes, we are talking about the Carens MPV, which is essentially the Kia-fied version of the Hyundai Alcazar, which in turn is kind of a limousine version of the Hyundai Santro.
मस्त जोक मारा रे या हंस रे हलकट हंस
Now the review of the Carens MPV can be found all over the YouTube, but what they haven't told you is what I'm gonna tell you, because this is Car Masker, only truth, no trash. So let's start with the specs, right? In true Korean fashion, the Carens MPV will be available in a total of 6 engine and gearbox combinations, which will be shared with the Seltos and the Creta SUV and not the Hyundai Alcazar. That means you will definitely miss upon the 2-liter naturally aspirated petrol engine, which is available in the Alcazar and not in the Seltos or the Creta, which means that the Carens will be available with the 1.4-liter turbo petrol engine making 140 horsepower and 242 Newton meters of torque. This engine will be available with a 7-speed dual clutch transmission and a 6-speed manual. Next engine will be a 1.5-liter naturally aspirated petrol engine making 115 horsepower and 144 Newton meters of torque. This, however, will be available in the lower 2 variants of the Carens only, and only with a 6-speed manual transmission. And the last engine will be the very likable 1.5-liter turbo diesel engine making 115 horsepower and 250 Newton meters of torque, which will be available with a 6-speed torque converter automatic gearbox or a 6-speed manual gearbox. So with so many options to choose from, which is the engine gearbox combination in the Carens that you should buy and which one you should avoid? That's what we'll focus on now. So in my opinion, being an MPV, the primary duty of the Carens will be to transport 7 people along with their luggage, which definitely means that the best variant in the Carens to buy is the diesel variant, be it automatic or the manual. And specifically my personal pick will be the diesel automatic variant, because it comes with a very likable 6-speed torque converter gearbox, and this engine gearbox combination is definitely a very reliable combination. And diesel, being the torquiest amongst the all 3 engine options, definitely is the most befitting one in this Carens MPV. Now coming on to the variant you should avoid, that is the 1.4-liter turbo petrol engine with the 7-speed DCT gearbox. Why? Because firstly, the DCT gearbox is a dry type dual clutch transmission, and in its all prior applications, there are numerous complaints across all forums and websites, and even the viewer feedback given to me by the owners is not at all encouraging. If you want the detailed explanation of this dry type dual clutch transmission, click on the I button. That's where you'll get the full explanation as to how this transmission works and why it should be avoided at the best. And then the fact is that the 1.4-liter turbo petrol engine is also not the best in terms of reliability. It's not very bad per se, but then still it's not the best either. Some of the other gremlins keep on rising up in this engine. And not only this, every turbo petrol engine of the Hyundai Group, that includes the 1-liter turbo petrol engine also. So while the engine is very likable in its power delivery and performance, it does certainly lag behind in terms of reliability. And lastly, what remains is the 1.5-liter naturally aspirated engine with 6-speed manual transmission. Now surprisingly, this won't be available with the CVT transmission like the Seltos and the Creta. This engine will only be mated to a 6-speed manual transmission. And for personal use, or buyers who won't be carrying a lot of passengers on board and do not crave much about performance either, can go with this 1.5-liter naturally aspirated petrol engine. Neither it's the best to carry loads, neither it's the best for performance, this engine chooses the middle path, that is giving the reliability of a naturally aspirated petrol engine and foregoing performance. So only if there is a budget constraint do you need to go for this engine. Otherwise, it would be best to choose the diesel, automatic or manual, or if you crave for performance, the 1.4 liter turbo petrol engine with the 6-speed manual and not the 7-speed DCT is the one to go for. But the best variant hands down is the 1.5 liter diesel with a 6-speed torque converter. It's got decent performance, it's got a healthy torque number. Hyundai diesels are known to be very reliable, and then the convenience and the reliability of a torque converter gearbox is an added bonus. So if this video was useful, do not forget to like this video, share with everyone who's planning to buy the Carens MPV, and lastly, do not forget to subscribe to this channel so that you do not miss on the content which no one will ever tell you about. So that's all for today. See you again.